What is going on? It is, of course, Jeff. I am here with my great guest and co-host, which will join us here shortly. Of course, we're back doing the show. We took a little bit of a break from the Scott Fish Bowl. We're going to do some armchair roulette wheel topics tonight. Some breakout players, early values, dynasty trades, and more. We also have a July 4th themed nonsense draft, and of course, we're bringing back the forgotten fantasy player. So hang tight.
Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, and welcome to episode 421 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I am your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. Follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. I want to apologize for that cold open. It was a little awkward because I didn't get my countdown. I just was all of a sudden I was live. I was like, oh, wait, what's going on? So I apologize for the awkward open there. But we are here as usual on a Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. And I'm here as always with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Searfoss. Ryan, what's up, man?
Dude, that was weird open. I almost left. It's glad to be back after a hiatus. Sad I can't pop on Sunday with the draft time, but yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah, that's you got your Scott Fish Bowl draft live draft this Sunday. Mine is the technically mine is not the following Sunday. I'm hosting the following Sunday, but mine is the slow draft this year. I'm not actually drafting live this year. So
drafting and podcasting at once is something I just haven't done and I don't plan on doing.
Yeah, good call. All right, also joining us tonight for the first time, I went on his show, his podcast just recently and talked some 49ers. Decided to have him come on our podcast and talk some fantasy. Joey C, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? Thank you for having me tonight. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to be able to join your show.
Absolutely. And that podcast I went on is called the Marvelous Realism of the NFL podcast. Give us a quick rundown, man. I know you've been doing a lot of team previews and such. Just give us a rundown. How'd you start? How's it going and everything else?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, it's funny you mentioned it. I'm actually on a hiatus myself because of the fact that when it came to the idea for me, I wanted to create a podcast that combines both the reality aspect of the NFL along with the fantasy aspect of fantasy football combined into one show. Because usually a lot of times when people listen to podcasts, it's either going to be, okay, I'm going to choose either a fantasy podcast and a reality podcast to listen to in terms of football itself. But I figure, why not combine both into the same one and make it under an hour? And I've gone through at least 35 episodes so far. And it actually turns out the other day, based on the statistics that I have found, since it's only a podcast that I only do through Spotify, it turns out that I just reached 100 streams and downloads, as well as close to 150 plays through Spotify during the entire time that I've had the podcast on. So
that's
a good milestone. I love it. I remember when I first got started, it was a little bit different back then. I was also all audio back then, but we didn't have all the nice things that we have now. And to have guests on my show, I literally had to call them on my cell phone and hold it up to my mic to have my guest. That's how I did my guests back then. Things have changed quite a bit, but yeah,
was I on cell phone my first podcast with you?
You were on the cell phone. Yeah, you were a cell phone podcast before we went to the live video for sure.
Oh damn! I forgot that.
Yeah, it
Crazy.
was a long time ago.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy just being able to do an audio because I know sometimes when it comes to being able to do a video broadcast, it's a hassle, just like with your cold open video. By the way, love it. And I know that you really love the emphasis on George Kittle and his emphasis there. So I'm sure that was a big shout out to you there. But in terms for me, I always wanted to focus on the audio aspect. So I figured Spotify would be best. And I'm currently on a mission to interview a fan from all 32 NFL franchises. And so far, I have gotten through all of the NFC teams, Jeff, with you being the 49ers and your buddy Jamie being the Rams. So now the next stop is to do all the AFC teams, and hopefully I'll be able to get all those done throughout July, by August, and go from there.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. That's
Wait,
a big.
you said Jamie?
Yeah,
He's
Jamie.
our-
He went in there as a Rams fan.
He disgusts me. Oh, me and him are gonna have words.
Yeah.
He is
Maybe
giving up
he's
on
in
his
the
team.
chat, but not tonight.
Oh, what a scumbag. He's supposed to be an AFC North through and true. Oh, what a scumbag. They're getting a dome stadium and he's just going off the rails. Oh my God.
He told me he was a fan of all teams, so I figured, why not? We made it work with the Rams, so I'll take it.
Yeah, no, Jamie can talk about any sport, but yeah, he's definitely a Browns fan through and through for sure.
Oh, he just doesn't want to tell people. It's embarrassing.
Yeah. If I was a Browns fan, I'd be a Rams fan too. All right, real quick, let me pay some bills. Are you tired of long, drawn-out drafts that never seem to end? It's time to level up to Fast Draft. The fastest way to draft for real cash. These drafts take less than 5 minutes. Seriously, you can knock them out on the lunch break or in a bathroom break. Right now, we've got an exclusive offer for our listeners. When you use promo code GF2, you sign up and get a 100% deposit match up to $50. It's as simple as that. Just jump in, download the app, and use GF2 as the promo code. Deposit 50, you get 100, and then you can start drafting literally in 5 minutes. It's really cool. It's only six starters. It's all flex positions. There's no quarterbacks. It's a really cool way of doing best ball. You can get in there and draft a bunch right away. So it's a lot of fun. So check them out. Again, that promo code is GF2. And I also want to promote, I know me and Ryan just talked about our Scott Fishbowl draft. We are doing a promo or a donation match right now. I'm going to put this on the screen here. It's going to cover your face, Joey. I apologize. But we do have a donation match up to $1,500 right now. If you scan that QR code or if you go to fantasycares.org/GF2, we're currently at about $5,500 raised, hoping to get over the 7,000 mark. So we need some donations. So please hit that link, fantasycares.org/GF2, and make some donations, and we will match all donations up to $1,500. All right, fellas, let's go ahead and jump right into our nonsense drafts.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right, tonight's nonsense draft with 4th of July being this Friday, we are drafting the most Murica things ever. Anything at all, no holds barred, doesn't matter what it is, whatever things you can only see in America, we're going to be drafting those tonight. And as always, our guest gets to go first. So Joey, kick us off here with the 101.
I appreciate that. So, with the first pick in the most America things ever mock draft, I'm going to go with the classic fireworks because you cannot have a 4th of July celebration without fireworks.
Good call. Yeah, good call. That's definitely pretty America right there. I love it. The 101 is fireworks. Ryan, you got the 102.
I had a full monologue ready for that one. That's all right. I was about to start quoting Joe Dirt. I mean, but we're gonna be honest, it's not my 101. My 101's beer. What's the 4th of July without a few brewskis? 3, 5, 12, 30, whatever you can responsibly do.
Or not responsibly.
It's a good time.
Whatever makes you happy. But it's
a good time.
It's a good time.
Good stuff. I love it. All right, so I go next here at the 103, and I'm just going to take bacon wrapped anything. You can wrap anything in bacon. It's an American thing.
American.
Sure. I do jalapeno poppers and I wrap them in bacon. But you can do pretty much anything in bacon. So yeah, bacon wrapped anything is my 103. All right, Joey, back to you at the 201.
So, with the first pick in the second round of the Most America Things Ever mock draft, I am actually going to change my original pick at this point. I'm actually going to go with something unique. I'm going to go with American songs that truly make what America is, where it's proud to be an American, America the Beautiful, the national anthem, whatever you call it. Those are probably sung throughout any time before the July celebration, just because of the fact that, when you're, as Ryan was saying, when you have so much beer, who doesn't want to sing those songs out loud and just sing them over and over again at that point?
Love it. Love it. Great choice for sure. All right, Ryan, 202.
I know it's a football podcast, but I'm going with the greatest athlete in America. He's coming back off a hiatus, Joey Chestnut. The man who can throw down 83 hot dogs.
Yes, the hot dog.
He has over 76 Guinness Book of World Records for eating. The most American greatest athlete of our generation, possibly all time.
Yeah, leave it to America to make a contest about eating.
Ooh, baby.
All right, I'm up at the 203, and I'm going to go with something I've actually never participated in. I remember seeing the commercials for them all the time when I was a kid, and I always wanted to go.
Wiffle ball with fireworks?
Yeah, no. Not quite. A monster truck rally. I always remember seeing the Sunday, and then you get like the monster trucks jumping over cars, and that is definitely the most America thing ever. Is a monster truck rally. Something I've never been to, but I would love to go to one of these days. All right, kicking off the third round here with your third round pick, Joey. The last pick for you. What you got?
With my final pick for the Most America Things Ever mock draft, I'm going to go with probably one of my favorite things to ever have. And that is actually a little bit of a Marvel character in this case. And I'm sure you all know who I'm going with here. And it just so happens I'm representing tonight. Nice. Got to go with the Captain America tonight, baby. Nice. No better superhero than Captain America at this point. Anytime you want to talk about America, Captain America is the way to go. Just saying.
Love it. Love it. Great option.
Yeah, right.
All right, Ryan.
Captain America posted right up there.
There it is.
Yeah, so we're sticking with the movies. I'm going with a movie that I try to watch almost every 4th of July. This makes you feel good inside. It's not like baseball in the summer. It's a Sandlot.
Nice.
And then the scene where they're playing baseball under the fireworks. It's just awesome. Gets you all the feels.
Awesome.
For me, it's The Patriot. I always watch The Patriot every single 4th of July, so I know that tradition all too well.
Good stuff. All right. I'm going to wrap it up here with the final thing, the most America thing ever. And I'm going with a person. And this person has been he started movies. He had his own TV show for a while. And all these jokes, there's all these Chuck Norris jokes. So I'm going with Chuck Norris, the most America thing ever. He's got tons of, jokes in movies and just seems to be sort of that all-American kind of guy. Walker, Texas Ranger was his TV show. So I'm going Chuck Norris here for my final pick.
You know he's from Canada, right?
I know he's from Canada. But
I'm just kidding. Jeff, I made that up.
You made that up? I was like, I didn't know he's from Canada, but I'm going to pretend like I knew he's from Canada. But, yeah.
Chuck Norris, go with it. Just go with it.
All right. As I mentioned at the top, we're going to be doing our fantasy roulette. If you haven't seen this before, we bring up the wheel. So let me go ahead and bring up the wheel here. I loaded up, I think, 13 different topics tonight into the wheel. We're just going to spin it and see what pops up and talk about it here. So let me go ahead and hit our first topic. All right, it's kind of hard for y'all to see this, but it is a poll here, and if you were drafting a wide receiver 2, so your wide receiver 1 right now is Ladd McConkey. Wide receiver 2, these are your options: Mike Evans, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, or DK Metcalf. Those are your 4 options, Ryan. Which one are you taking here? Ladd McConkey is your receiver 1.
I'm assuming this is redraft.
This is redraft. It is redraft.
Yeah, it's not even a question. It's Mike Evans. We know we're going to get 1,000 yards, 8 to 12 touchdowns, rinse, repeat. There's a lot of question marks with DK Metcalf. Got a new thing. He should get playing. He probably has the highest ceiling, but there's still, can Aaron Rodgers throw the ball deep? Is Pittsburgh going to run 300 times a game? DJ Moore, there's questions with that offense. Who's going to be the number 1 receiver? Then drafting people, and Other breakouts, Xavier Worthy, same thing. There's a lot of questions there, and he's kind of big game dependent. Mike Evans, it's just rinse. It's rinse repeat, baby.
Yeah.
Just don't ever think Mike Evans. He's great. He's run until the wheel falls off.
Love it. I love it. What about you, Joey? Who do you got? Mike Evans, Xavier Worthy, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf.
I understand, Ryan, your choice, and I would go Mike Evans as well. But you also got to realize as well, the Bucs have a very crowded wide receiver room this year. Along with Mike Evans, you got Chris Godwin, and you got Ibuka, and you got McMillan, and you got I'm trying to figure out the other name of the tight end that they have. It drew a blank out. Thank you, Kate Otten. So in this case, I like to go a different route here, and I'm actually going to go with Xavier Worthy because throughout the past couple of seasons, I've seen him be like one of the most consistent wide receivers to be there for Patrick Mahomes. You have obviously Rashee Rice as your number one, but Xavier Worthy has that speed. I can't trust DJ Moore enough with Caleb Williams because of the fact that Caleb's entering his second year, and who knows? You still got a Dunze that's going to be taking a couple of targets from him. Luther Burden III, you're going to obviously incorporate him. And also you're going to have Loveland and Kmet as your two tight end set under Ben Johnson for the Bears, so I wouldn't choose Matt Moore. And I'm not going to even get started with Metcalf. As much as I love Metcalf being the new wide receiver one for the Steelers, obviously in this case, you don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to bring to the table. Obviously when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, who knows if he's actually going to be that quarterback that's able actually to spread the ball around, and also if he's actually going to be able to only target Metcalf, because with all past Steelers seasons, you have that quarterback that only forces the ball into that one wide receiver. But I think the safest bet when it comes to the best wide receiver two out of those options, yes, you could go with Evans, obviously, but I'm going Worthy here just because I think he's a sure, safe bet with Mahomes.
All right. Well, it's going to be three different choices because I am going with the aforementioned DK Metcalf for some of the reasons that y'all mentioned. So, Ryan with Metcalf, and you mentioned Chris Godwin's there and Ibuka's there, and it's got all the other targets. And then you mentioned Xavier Worthy. He's got Rashee Rice. Mahomes passes the ball to everybody on the field. Whoever's open, Travis Kelce's still there. DK Metcalf is really the only show in town. And Aaron Rodgers has made a number one receiver out of Garrett Wilson when he was only a show in town. Obviously, Devontae Adams was there for a while, and he made him the only show in town. So DK Metcalf is his new shiny toy. He's in target.
Those guys can run more than one route.
Fair,
but maybe two routes.
A go route and a post route, right?
Basically, yeah.
But DK Metcalf is also 6'4". He's going to be a red zone threat as well. So I think Rodgers makes Metcalf have one of his best seasons of his career. So I'm gonna go Metcalf here and bet on the upside. All right, let's get our next topic on the board here. All right, this one is from Sal Vitri on Twitter, Sal Vitri DFS. He wants to talk about George Kittle. George Kittle was the tight end one in fantasy points per game last year. Not Bowers, not McBride. It was Kittle. Yet somehow he's going 25 picks later than them in redraft. And I'll go to you first, Joey, this time. Give me your thoughts on George Kittle and why do you think he's being drafted so much further behind the other two guys?
I think something that I'm sure a lot of people are taking into account in this point is, while he was the tight end one in fantasy points per game last year, I give him credit where credit's due. The injuries are a question. A nickname that I have for George Kittle is Brittle Kittle. You never know what he's going to bring, how healthy he's going to stay during the entire season. And when it comes to Bowers and McBride, you have that reassurance in terms of getting those targets to those top tight end picks there. But in terms of Kittle, I think people are passing over him because of the fact that you don't know what the 49ers offense is going to look like with not having Ayuk and wondering what Kittle is going to bring and also how healthy he's going to stay. So you obviously some people are thinking that he's going to have a little bit of a dip in his production as the season progresses.
Yeah, that's a good call. What about you, Ryan? You feel the same way with injury history?
So, yeah, look, I brought this up. So he was on the injury report last season. 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks left. He only missed one game, but he was missed 2 games, sorry. But he was on the injury report 7 times last year. Year before was all right. He only had 2. The year before, we missed 2 games on injury report 4. The year before, missed 6 games and was missed 8 games and on it for more. Like it's just it's not even that he's injured all the time. It's he's on that injury report all the time, and that questionable pops up, and you don't know, and you have to get contingency plans, and you have to waste a free agency pick or a waiver pick on a tight end just because he may have a groin strain or a calf strain or a foot fracture or a hamstring strain. I'm just naming things off this thing: a shoulder sprain, ankle, hip, hamstring again, ankle, hamstring again. Like there's just so many bruised ribs. There's so many just random nicks because of how physical he plays. You're always going to have that fear. Even if he missed 0 games next year, you're going to be stressed out because he's going to be on that injury report and have that cue by him that's going to make you want to have a heart attack. For my mental health, I'm just not doing it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I love Kittle, obviously, as a Niners fan, but Bowers and McBride offer that consistency game in and game out. I know they're both young; they haven't missed any games yet, and Kittle is always on the injury report. Not to mention, Shanahan wants to run the ball, and if they're winning the game and they're running the ball, then Kittle's just blocking. He's one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. So he might be, leading the league in fantasy points per game, but it could be he gets 6 points one game and then he gets 28 points in the next game. You're going to have that up and down peaks and valleys with Kittle. He has the tremendous upside. He can score 2-3 touchdowns in a game, but you're going to have those valleys where he's low and he's just blocking the entire game that you're going to end up, being screwed on. So I agree. I think Bowers and McBride are being drafted a little bit too high for my taste for tight end, but I do think that those two should be going before Kittle.
And Trey McBride last year was such an anomaly. And I don't think it's being talked about this year because he only had 2 touchdowns on 147 targets.
Yeah. And they came at the end of the year. Like it was like week 15 or something that he got his first one.
Yeah. And the other thing, Kittle only had 94 targets last year, which is less than Bowers, less than McBride by over 50 for both of them, less than Johnny Smith, yet less than Kelsey.
Yep.
Less than David Njoku, less than Hunter Henry. Like there's a lot of players. He just wasn't getting targeted enough. Like you said, it's a lot of touchdowns and it's a lot of like big plays dependency.
Yep. Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with counting them, but
go ahead, Joey.
No, I was just going to say having Geno Smith hopefully will be able to give Bowers more targets there. But I think also a tight end that a lot of people should keep an eye on in upcoming fantasy drafts, Loveland from the Bears. I think he's going to be that new top tight end that's going to overtake the charts, especially if Ben Johnson is able to use him in the correct way, as if he's like a Sam Laporta for the Bears.
Yeah,
I think this is going to be a guy that will definitely be a target for fantasy owners, especially if they want to see a production from Loveland himself to be that one target there.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it.
Oh, the traders in the chat.
Yeah, there's a Rams fan. Rams fan, Jamie.
There's our resident Rams fan.
Good to see you, Jamie.
All right, let's get our next topic on the board here. All right, this one is from Script. He's from P2W Fantasy, talking about Devon Achane. Devon Achane, in games that Tua Tagovailoa played in the last season, from a target standpoint, he had 6.5 targets per game, 6 catches per game, 46.1 receiving yards. He averaged a half a receiving touchdown per game for 21.86 fantasy points, and the Miami Dolphins just lost Jonnu Smith. Ryan, is Devon Achane being a little bit undervalued, you think, if Tua Tagovailoa can stay healthy?
There's the F, but he's still running back, 5, 6? I'm still in Dynasty mode. I haven't really made the conversion over. So he's still like running back 5 or 6 for me. But like, yes, you have to worry about the 2 injuries, but you also have to worry about a smaller running back getting hurt who missed a ton of time in 2023, who gets dinged up. He played all 17 last year, which is awesome. We also don't know the Miami Dolphins offensive lineman. They lost Johnny Smith. There's a lot of guys to focus on, and you have a quarterback who, yeah, we want to say he's healthy, and we want him to be healthy, but we've seen different. And I'm just not somebody who consistently trusts a sub 200-pound running back, no matter how fast. And I'd like to, he's awesome per game and there, but there's, again, a lot of questions there that I'm not super comfortable with where he's being drafted. I like some running backs after him a lot more.
Yeah, I agree there. I think you got the injury, risk with Tua, and you have the injury risk with himself as well. So, the usage that he got last year was surprising. He was able to stay healthy all year. What about
And
you?
last year, with his production, you also had Tyreek Hill, who wasn't healthy, Waddle, who was nicked up. There was a lot going towards. There's a lot of factors around him that just aren't consistent.
Yeah, good call. What about you, Joey? How do you feel about Devon Achane?
To be honest with you, I am actually, whenever I approach my fantasy draft or any fantasy draft I'm going into, I'm avoiding all Miami Dolphins players, period, because I just cannot trust that offense. Who knows how long Tua Tagovailoa is going to be able to stay healthy? Because let's face the facts, one more sack from him, he's done for his NFL career is done. Achane is an up and down running back. Sometimes he's able to burst a good run here and there. And as you can see from these stats, he's not really utilized as like a CMC or even like a Gibbs when it comes to being a pass catcher running back. You have no idea if Tyreek Hill is going to be on the team. And Jalen Waddle, you got to pray that doesn't get injured. The only guy I would have drafted from the Dolphins got traded away to the Steelers. I was going to draft Jonnu Smith just because he was the only reliable pick to have. But now it's like, okay, just pass over all the Dolphins, let them go to other people that want to draft. But no, I agree that, Achane could easily be skipped over here. As much as I want to have faith in the guy to be able to have that consistency, I just don't see it. And again, the questions of the offensive line. Yeah, they drafted offensive linemen through the draft and got them through free agency, but I just don't see the production of Achane really being a reliable source when it comes to his running back or even a flex play.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I tend to agree there. I think the injury risk.
Can we go on this a little bit? Who would you rather have right now, Achane or Jonathan Taylor for this year?
Jonathan
Taylor.
Achane or Bucky Irving?
Irving.
I think I'm going Achane there because I'm not buying the Bucky Irving repeat.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs, probably.
Kyron Williams.
Jacobs over Achane, yeah.
Kyron Williams.
That's probably a decision to make right there. That's where I think I'm at.
How about Breece Hall?
I'm going. I'm on the bounce back.
Because honestly, for me, just to insert real quick, the fact that you have Fields as your QB, he's going to take away running opportunities from Hall. I see a decline for Hall this season, especially with Fields as your quarterback, and he's going to be mobile as ever. I just don't see this. I just don't see him being able to be as productive as he was in past seasons. So I would go.
I'm the opposite. I think running quarterbacks help running backs.
Fair enough.
Because they open up holes because defenses are a little bit kind of backed up. Just in that case.
Coming from a Ravens fan that has the Lamar Jacksons.
Yeah, but we're talking. We're going guys who are like running back 13 and 12 right now.
Yeah,
we're comparing him to, and he's going 7.
Yeah, good call.
It's a lot of questions. He might be getting overdrafted.
Yeah. All right, this one's also from Script again from P2W Fantasy. The only player to have a higher percentage of games played with 100+ receiving yards in 2024 than Zay Flowers was Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, and Nico Collins, and that's it. A bump in touchdowns can easily mean he's a breakout season with consistency. Ryan, this is your player. This is Zay Flowers. This is your boy. So only three players to have more 100-yard receiving yards than last year. Those 3 players, all being drafted way ahead of Zay Flowers. What are your thoughts on Zay Flowers this year?
I think Zay Flowers can definitely improve. I think he can finish in ceiling, low end wide receiver 1, like that 11-12 range. I don't think the touchdowns will be there for him, because a lot of it is big game dependent. And once they get in the red zone, it's Derrick Henry, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews. Just in that part of the field, he's gonna be a struggle to get. His touchdowns come a lot off of big plays. He could get he'll get fairly heavily targeted. Oh, and you have DeAndre Hopkins there now too. taking away touchdowns, who's a big body red zone threat. I think he can have a bigger year. I think he can finish as a wide receiver 2. And I feel pretty confident in that. And I think he'll be better than last year, yardage wise and reception wise. But I don't know if the ceiling's there where he's being named with those guys who were named above.
Fair point. What about you, Joey? How you feel about Zay Flowers?
I think, it's going to be a competition between Flowers and Hopkins because, Hopkins is still reliable for that deep ball threat. And, when I heard that the Ravens had gotten D-Hop, I said that's an improvement in their receiving game because let's face the facts. I'm going to pretend you didn't even say Mark Andrews because I'm not even counting Mark Andrews as a target this year. I would not.
I should count him.
He's out. He said he's out on Mark Andrews.
But he's going to take targets. He'll still get 8 targets this year.
I'm sorry. I just don't see Andrews being that same reliable tight end. I understand you have that respect for him as a Ravens fan, and I can respect that for sure. But I just don't see Andrews being that same reliable tight end. If anything, likely he's going to get more targets as a tight end.
I agree.
But you're going to see a majority of the targets going to Flowers and Hopkins at this point. I wouldn't even go Bateman either because Bateman was an up or down coin toss flip. Either he had a great game or he had a crappy game, depending on wherever you saw it. But, I would agree that Flowers is like your low-end wide receiver 1, maybe a tied wide receiver 2, depending on how you're drafting. But that's basically like the sure pick to go with when it comes to Ravens fans for fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah, Zay Flowers last year, I got him on my main Dynasty team, my home team, and he was extremely frustrating for me last year because I literally started him in every game that he did not show up for. And then I would bench him, and he'd have a monster game. It literally happened all season last year. I'm hoping he can get some consistency in there with his catches and receiving yards.
I think he's the type of receiver you pair with when you have a very consistent, high-volume wide receiver 1. Like the Lad McConkey thing brought up earlier where he's just kind of going to be consistent week to week, 12 points, 15 points. You want him paired with Zay Flowers, who could have a 27-point game or a 3.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like he's a team build type of player.
That's exactly what we got last year. You'd get the 28 points, and then you get 3 the next week.
That's just how the Ravens' offense is going to go because Lamar knows who's hot and who's open.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Good call. All right, let's get our next topic on the board. All right, we got a trade proposal here. This is in Dynasty. Let's see, who is this? Edson, and I can't pronounce his last name. He is receiving Jahmyr Gibbs. What is it?
Smash accept.
Yeah. He's receiving Jahmyr Gibbs. He's giving up David Montgomery and Jackson Smith and Jigba. So you're saying smash accept, Ryan?
Smash. I didn't have to be. Yes, I'm sorry. It's just I saw it immediately smash.
Joe, you feel the same way? You taking Jahmyr Gibbs in this?
This is, if there's one thing I've always known about trades, it's always, are people, there's always criticism when it comes to a trade because people are going to be like, oh, why'd you give up this guy for this guy? Why on earth would you make that trade? So in this case, I honestly see the fact that both Gibbs and Montgomery, me being a Lions fan myself, they both have good productivity in this case. And, this is also the season of JSN. JSN is going to boom big time for the Seahawks, especially if him and Darnold are going to be able to get paid. I would not take this trade. I'm sure I'll get criticism for it, just like I do with any other trade that I analyze here. But I would keep Gibbs just because Gibbs himself is going to provide those targets, maybe even the same amount of targets combined as Montgomery and JSN. So in this case, I would not take this trade. I would keep Montgomery and Jigba just because that's a solid running back and a wide receiver to have. And, you have the value in Gibbs, but I just would not accept this trade. It seems like an even trade, but I just would not accept it.
Fair enough. I think I'm on the Gibbs side of this as well. And I love Jackson Smith and Jigba. I was all over him last year. And I think he's going to be awesome. I think, Montgomery is a very good productive running back as well. And I think the age comes into factor here. Where Jahmyr Gibbs for Dynasty is going to give you a couple more years of productivity. So I think I'm leaning towards the Gibbs side. But I can see where if you were maybe a contender and you were a little bit light at receiver, Getting the Montgomery and JSN side could help you, I guess, for a contender. But I want Jahmyr Gibbs in this trade for sure.
And this is why you send trades, because people agree on both sides.
Exactly. You never know how it's going to feel. All right.
Fair enough.
Let's get another topic up here. We're back to our boy Script, P2W Fantasy on Twitter. He's talking about Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is the best bet to be this year's quote-unquote Terry McLaurin or Cortland Sutton, aka a veteran receiver with a rookie quarterback who is likely his best option. Target completion is Tyler Lockett. I'm sorry, target competition is Tyler Lockett, Chig and Okonkwo, and some rookies drafted in round 4 or later. He could be a top 12 targeted wide receiver. And I'll go to you first on this one, Joey. Give me your thoughts on Calvin Ridley with a rookie quarterback, Cam Ward, they're throwing on the ball. Is he this year's Terry McLaurin / Cortland Sutton, who were good last year with rookie quarterbacks?
I can agree with this at this point because, the Titans went all in on Cam Ward. Obviously, with Will Levis last year, you don't have that same reliability. With Cam Ward, you have that assurance. And a guy like Calvin Ridley is definitely a guy to really make fantasy points boom. I think this is a guy that has enough experience and it can be that reliable target to really have a stack in Ward and Ridley if you're able to get it in fantasy. I definitely see him being like the next McLaurin or Sutton as well for this point. I don't know if he could be top 12, maybe top 15, depending on how you view other wide receivers. But I definitely see Ridley as a reliable source to definitely have as your wide receiver 1 when it comes to being able to draft.
Yeah, just to clarify, he says top 12 targeted receiver, not top 12 fantasy points. So I take away those touchdowns probably, but he could be targeted as far as the top 12.
I would say top 15, if anything. I don't remember what my rankings were from my own podcast, but I would definitely say at least top 15, especially when it comes to that perspective.
Fair enough. What about you, Ryan? How do you feel about Calvin Ridley?
I'm a consistent Calvin Ridley hater, but I see the opportunity, and I think there are going to be teams that runs the ball a lot still. That's just that team's DNA, that team. And I don't know about the top 12 in the league targets. There's some guys who just get freaking peppered.
Yeah.
And saying Terry McLaurin is just disrespectful. Terry McLaurin, I'm just throwing that out there, but I can get on board with the Cortland Sutton thing. Terry McLaurin's been great regardless of the QB. But there's definitely upside. I think he's huge value at wide receiver 32, and he can perform way higher than that. I think like 15 to 20 range in targets, similar for fantasy finish. I don't know if that offense is going to score enough points where he's really relevant because their DNA is still defense and running the ball with mediocre backs right now. But it's still, I don't love the offense in general. I don't think they're scoring enough points where he's going to be super fantasy like a star. But I think he's a good complementary piece, good wide receiver 3 to have, good slot. I'll pay him at wide receiver 32 all day.
Yeah, I think where you drafted him, I think that is definitely the option there. Receiver 32, I think he has the upside. But I agree. I don't think he's Terry McLaurin or Cortland Sutton for that matter.
So 34, by the way, not 32.
So even lower. So yeah, definitely would take a chance on him. But I think I agree as far as he's not one of those receivers, only because I don't think the Titans' offense is going to be anywhere near as good as the Broncos or the Commanders were last year. They need more pieces than those two teams needed. So I agree. I think ceiling, I think he can hit top 15, but I think it's probably going to be more like a bottom receiver 2 at tops. So before we get to our next topic, I want to plug once again our donation match right now. We have for Scott Fishbowl for Fantasy Cares, we are matching all donations up to $1,500. I'm making my Potathon appearance this Sunday. So up until then, we are donating. We are matching all donations. Just visit fantasycares.org/GF2 or scan that QR code there on your screen. Again, that's fantasycares.org/GF2. We're currently at $5,500. We're hoping to get over 7,000. So help us out and get that done for us. All right, let's get our next topic on the board. All right, this one is from Sal Vitri. Sal Vitri DFS on Twitter. He's talking about Rashee Rice. He was the wide receiver 2 in fantasy points per game last year before his injury. He was on pace for 136 catches and 1,600 plus yards. Then he got hurt. Ryan, I'm gonna go to you first on this one. Rashee Rice and your thoughts on Rashee Rice this year.
Like Rashee Rice this year, I'm gonna say the way he brought up like the pacings, insanity. Like it's not gonna stick like that.
No.
But just because he was on a crazy pace, and he had like a 14 target game in that pacing,
Yep.
which is a lot. Also, Xavier Worthy wasn't really Xavier Worthy yet. He didn't have his breakout, was trusted yet. Kelsey was just out of shape for the first, I don't know, 9 games of the season. So he also played against his corner matchups with Brandon Stevens, Daxton Hill, and D. Alford. Like he was playing a bunch of scrubs. Like it was nice for him. I think the ball gets spread around a lot with him. I think the weapons have gotten better. Hollywood Brown was also out then, who is not a huge factor, but still a factor. Like there's Mahomes who spreads the ball as well as anybody. I think Rice could be an 1,100, 1,200 yard receiver in the perfect situation, an 8 to 10 touchdown guy. But I really like him and I like the volume. But like the 1,600 yard thing now,
That's ridiculous.
like that's ridiculous. But I can see him having a great year.
Yeah, for sure. If he can stay healthy, I do see him, in that range for 1,200 yards, easy. The offense should be improved as long as he can stay healthy. Because I think they were still trying to find their way after they lost him. Kelsey, like you mentioned, was kind of a shell of himself, and toward the end of the season, Xavier Worthy was still young and getting kind of his feet underneath him, so they kind of missed that. What about you, Joey? What are your thoughts on Rashee Rice this year?
Rashee Rice is the obviously wide receiver one of the Chiefs without a doubt here. He's the guy that's going to get the most targets, I believe. You know, I obviously was singing Xavier Worthy's praises before. I think he's going to get a fair amount as well. I just don't know what Kelsey is going to bring this year, which is why I would put more heavy reliance on Rice, Worthy. Again, Hollywood Brown. You know, obviously injuries are going to be a major question for sure. You're obviously going to have those games where you're going to decide, okay, option A, B, or C, which Kansas City Chief wide receiver am I going to go with, and which one's going to get the touchdown, and which one's going to, get me the most amount of fantasy points depending on the amount of targets he gets. Rashee Rice is probably the most reliable option to have as long as he stays healthy, because that is a big issue there. I definitely see him being more reliable than Kelsey just because, you don't know what to expect from Kelsey this year. I mean, there's obviously the unassurance or unawareness or not being aware of if this is going to be his last season or not. You don't know, especially after the Super Bowl. And one thing that you got to wonder as well, especially after the way the Chiefs lost that Super Bowl, how much of a Super Bowl hangover this team is going to get, because they are real. They are real. They do occur. Is it going to happen to this team as well? Because with the way they got decimated by the Eagles in that Super Bowl, that's not something to easily come back from. So if you had to choose safe bets for fantasy players in terms of wide receivers, you'd go Rashee Rice, especially if Mahomes is going to be targeting him more than anyone else.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And the Super Bowl hangover thing is real. I've had to go through 3 of them already. so we lost to the Ravens, we lost to the Chiefs twice, and both the times the next year we were not very good. So it is a real thing. All right, we got time for maybe 1 or 2 more topics here. Let's see. We got our boy Salvitri again, Salvitri DFS. You were on the clock in a fantasy football league, and you were taking between these receivers: T. Higgins, Rashee Rice, who we just spoke about, Lad McConkey, or Jackson Smith and Jigba. Those are your 4 options, Ryan. Which one are you going with here?
Um, I know I feel like I didn't poo-poo him, but like I went against him in a trade. I think I'm taking JSN. It's really close between him and Lad for me. I love the skill set of JSN. I think Cooper Cup's a nice compliment to him. Kind of lets him to be a little bit more well-rounded as a receiver. And Sam Darnold was able to sling it last year, and I think he can find somebody he found somebody with a similar skill set. I'm not saying he's Justin Jefferson, because nobody is, but like good route running, knows how to get open. And I think he fits that mold. Good hand, reliable hands. He can make a little bit after the catch. I think he fits that mold. I think it's going to be a very nice setup for him.
Yeah.
Ladd McConkey's going to be great. He's probably the safest bet, but I'm taking JSN there.
All right. What about you, Joey? Who are you going with? T. Higgins, Rashee Rice, Ladd McConkey, or Jackson Smith-Njigba?
T. Higgins, hands down. I think T is at the extension he got, and he got his money. This is a surefire pick to pick, especially when it comes to Joe Burrow. And the amount of times that he targeted T. Higgins last year, I would absolutely pick Higgins for sure. But in terms of ranking-wise, I would go Higgins, McConkey, JSN, and then Rice, depending on the availability of those receivers as the draft goes on. But Higgins, no question, because of the fact that the guy gets his targets. Even if Jamar Chase is covered by their top cornerback, T. Higgins is like the second closest pick to have for a wide receiver one on a team than any other wide receiver duo out there. So I would go Higgins without a question.
All right. It's funny because those are the two guys I was trying to decide between was Jackson Smith-Njigba or T. Higgins. And the thing that was a deciding factor for me is the T. Higgins injury bug. It seems to crop up a little bit too much for me. And I think if I'm drafting one of these guys, I'm getting them pretty early in the draft, and I'm a little bit worried about the T. Higgins injury thing. So I, like Ryan, will go Jackson Smith-Njigba. I mentioned earlier how much I love Jackson Smith-Njigba. I was all over him last year. I traded for him in my home league. I think him and Darnold are going to be a perfect symmetry together. Like Ryan said, he has a similar skill set to Jay Jetta's, where he can get open, runs great routes, has good hands.
I said similar skill set, not the same.
Yes.
You need to clarify. I'm not getting roasted for comparing him to.
I'm gonna make sure that when I make the TikTok out of this video, I'm gonna cut that out, Ryan, and just say that you said that he was JSN. I mean, JSN was Justin Jefferson.
You think I won't quit this podcast over that?
Oh, jeez.
All right, so we got 2 for JSN and 1 for T. Higgins. But honestly, I think either one of those guys is a good choice. I just think JSN is a little bit more safer for me.
My only downside T. Higgins is the game to game thing, because there's gonna be Jefferson, there's gonna be Chase games, there's gonna be Higgins games, and there's games where he does disappear because of that. And vice versa.
Yep, good call.
Chase
I
doesn't
just don't think
disappear,
he gets his targets. I could see Chase having those games. I just see Higgins getting more targets every single game because Burrow finds a way to throw to him. That's just the way I see it.
I mean, Jefferson had 100, or Jason had 137 last year.
Yeah,
like he got targeted.
Yes.
Yep, and I think the thing with the Bengals is their defense is so bad they're going to be throwing the ball all the time. Right?
That's true. They're going to throw 8,000 times a game,
without a doubt.
All right, we got time for one more topic here. Let's see what we get. All right, back to our boy Script once again. So he's mentioning some quarterbacks here. 2022, Geno Smith. 2023, Baker Mayfield. 2024, Sam Darnold. 2025, the QB who will turn their career around is Justin Fields. He's averaged 19.8 fantasy points over the last 3 games he played. And he's back with his college wide receiver, Garrett Wilson. We'll go to you first, Joey. Are you buying the Justin Fields rebound year for 2025?
Absolutely. I really think that Jet fans scored big on acquiring Justin Fields. It sucks that the Steelers weren't able to keep him because he was doing so well for the Steelers during the time he was playing. Yes, I can understand that he's a mobile quarterback and he is inaccurate throwing downfield. I get that. But sometimes when you have that safe bet with Fields, being able to have those surefire plays across the middle of the field that really get you those targets, I truly see Fields being that rebound QB for the Jets at this point. And somebody had mentioned the fact that, while Aaron Rodgers was able to make a namesake for Garrett Wilson when he was the starting quarterback there, I think Garrett Wilson should be a top target for fantasy as well if Fields and Wilson can get on that same page. I think Fields is definitely going to be the turnaround year. I think I keep an eye on the Jets this year. I really think that if Fields plays his game and he's able to stay healthy and be consistent throughout, he's going to have a few tough games, but overall in fantasy, I definitely see a boom production for Justin Fields as the season progresses.
I love it. Ryan, what about you? What are your thoughts on Fields as a bounce back season?
I'd say 50-50. The thing with Fields, I think he'll get fantasy points. I think he'll get fantasy points because he's rushing upside. And we're talking about like you mentioned about the Steelers letting him go, and they should have kept him. They should have. They didn't even start him with Russell Wilson there. Like they benched him for Russell Wilson. Whether it's a Steelers thing or just a him thing, we don't fully know. But that gives me a little pause. Just the Jets in general with how they run the organization. I fully believe he'll throw to Wilson. They have the Ohio State connection, blah, blah, blah. I think that's great. I think he finished top 15 and 20, which is fine. But like we're looking at like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, especially last year. They fell into perfect situations. We're just talking about the weapons in Tampa tonight. Beautiful for Baker Mayfield. We talked about Justin Jefferson just a minute ago. Sam Darnold's throwing to him and Addison and Hawkinson. He has tons of weapons there. Like it's a perfect situation. The Jets aren't this offensive powerhouse that these offenses where he fell in. I don't think the situation is as great. So there's a little bit more hesitation than I'd like to. Because I enjoy to see him do well because I think he's been misused his whole career. But the situation is far from perfect and far from being great or good.
Yeah, so I think there's a way you can separate this, right? I think he's looking at it from a fantasy perspective, obviously, because he's a fantasy guy. I think there's a world where Justin Fields is fantasy relevant. I think there's a world where Garrett Wilson is a top 12 wide receiver with Justin Fields. There's a world where Breece Hall is a top 15 running back. And in that same world, the Jets are a terrible team, right? I think that's a possibility to happen because of the way fantasy points are divvied out. I see Justin Fields putting up monster fantasy points, and still the Jets are not winning games. And I think that could be what happens this year. I would love to see the bounce back. I would love to see him put up a good season. I liked Fields coming out of college. I thought he was kind of given a bad situation in Chicago because Chicago does what Chicago does with quarterbacks. And then he went to Pittsburgh, and they kind of dicked him over a little bit. And now he's with the Jets. We'll see how he does with the Jets. But yeah, I think there's a world where
weapons though. Like Garrett Wilson's awesome, but we're talking Josh Reynolds and Allen's on.
Yeah,
These other receivers. Doesn't have they have a rookie tight end. It's just he might have a nice floor. He could have a good floor because of his rushing upside, which was always the thing when he's playing. But the ceiling just is capped to me.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. I think those three guys, Fields, Wilson, and Breece Hall, can all be good fantasy options. And then also the Jets are winning 4 games this year. It's definitely a possibility. All right, that wraps up the fantasy roulette. We're going to get into our final segment of the night, which we haven't done in a while, so we're going to hit it tonight.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Joey told us pre-show that he had 4 different guys he was trying to choose from for him for Forgotten Fantasy Player here. So, Joey, I'm sure you picked your guy by now. Go ahead and start giving us some hints here.
So, when it comes to Forgotten Fantasy, I figured I would go time traveling back to when I started playing fantasy football in 2010. That's when I first started. So, this guy started in 2010. He is a wide receiver coming out of the school of Notre Dame. He was a second-round draft pick, and he started off with the Seattle Seahawks.
Golden Tate.
Over time.
Well done. Well done, Jeff.
I got my one guess answer. I love it.
Well done.
Off a college clue too.
He's one of the few college players. Because I knew he played for Notre Dame. Usually, I suck at the college players, Joey. You don't know this, but I suck at college. Usually, Ryan's the one in the college guys.
This is like I don't have a child, but I feel like this is like if your child hit his first home run in baseball. That's not
Yeah.
He's so proud right now.
Cry.
Because the funny thing is because he said he started in Seattle. When he first said Notre Dame, I already thought Golden Tate, but then I was like, he's a Lions fan, so I wonder if it is Golden Tate. And then as soon as you mentioned the Seattle Seahawks, I'm like, yes, Golden Tate. That's the one player I probably know where his college is. So
I don't even want to admit who I wanted to say when he said Notre Dame. I was going to Jeff Samardzija. I was getting like
No, you were right. I wanted to try to choose someone to see if I could try and sway you guys because the fact that he was a Seahawk, I loved him when he was a Lion, being able to pair up with Megatron during those years when it was Megatron, Stafford. That team I absolutely loved, and I loved that Tate was a wide receiver too during that time. The fantasy points he racked up during his time in Detroit was booming with Stafford as the QB, and he did a heck of a lot better in Detroit than he did in the Seattle, which is why I hated when he went to Philadelphia for a year and the Lions couldn't keep him, and then he was a no-show for the Giants afterwards. So that was one of those guys that I really wanted to target in my fantasy drafts, especially when he became a Lion. I'm like, oh, if I can get a Megatron and Golden Tate stack, I'm set.
Yeah, I love it. I love Golden Tate, and like I said, he's one of the few players who I knew where college he went to. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, let's wrap the show up. We'll go around the room real quick. I know, Joey, you're not on Twitter, but tell my listeners where they can find your podcast, where they can find all your content, all that good stuff.
So, for those of you out there who want to be able to listen to a podcast that combines both the reality and fantasy aspect of football, combined into one show in under an hour, please give my podcast, The Marvelous Realism of the NFL, a listen, because I assure you, you will get everything that you need. It is in a little bit of a hiatus right now, but it is going to resume with the fan interviews after the July 4th weekend. Afterwards, I get into the AFC fan interviews, and then the goal is I'm going to try and create an Instagram page where the goal is once I have an Instagram page set up, I'm going to try and set up Instagram lives, and you will all be able to find it, Marvelous Realism of the NFL podcast itself. You will be able to hopefully go on the live and be able to watch a simulcast of myself with a fan or two of any of the fans of the teams that are playing for that game. I'm mainly going to target primetime games just because it's easier, but I'm going to try and have a simulcast of the game so we can watch the game along with being able to track fantasy points as time goes on. The goal of that being updated and brought to fruition by the start of the season itself.
Good stuff, man. Love it. Love it. Ryan, what you got going on?
Oh, same old. Find me here every Wednesday night. Find me over at the Rookie Big Board with the Dynasty Big Board podcast. We talk Dynasty and bullshit. It's a good time. Check it out.
Good stuff. Again, I'll plug the donation. I'll put the QR code back on fantasycares.org/GF2. Donation match up to $1,500. We want to hit that $7,000 mark before Sunday when I go on the Podathon. So please do that. And then for those of you all that have been watching me and my daughter's podcast, the I Am No Jedi podcast, we'll be putting out another episode sometime shortly. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to be talking some Star Wars as usual. She's a huge fan. If you haven't seen it, it's a great show. We have a lot of fun doing it. A daddy-daughter sort of moment. So you can check us out on YouTube at I Am No Jedi podcast. And that's all. Ron, you got something you want to say?
Yeah, what do we have to get this donation to for me to make your first pick for you?
Okay, now you're talking, Ryan. That might be a thing. Maybe because last year, those that don't know, last year I put up my first round pick for donation, and the person that made my pick was actually at my live draft and picked a kicker for me in the first round. But because of that, we also raised a bunch of money, so it was worth it. My team was terrible, of course. I had a kicker in the first round, but maybe I'll do that again, Ryan. Maybe to entice people to donate.
What's the number we want? I have an idea. Even better.
Let's hear it. What's the idea?
What's the number you want? Or we want? What's the goal?
Last year we raised $400 to sell my first round pick. So
what are we at now?
Right now we're at 5,500 total.
And we went 7,000?
7,000 is what we want to hit.
Okay, here it is. We hit 7,000. If it's even number, it has to go over 7,000. And if the last digit's an even number, I pick you. If it's odd number, you pick me.
Oh, I like it. Okay. Well, there it is. Well, I'll have to put that on Twitter. That's promoting it. So I'm even and you're odd, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit odd.
All right. I love it. So if we hit 7,000 and it ends in an even number, Ryan will make my first round pick, and if it's an odd number, I will make Ryan's first round pick.
And if you ever listen to the Rookie Big Board, you'll know who Jeff's first pick is.
Yes. All right. That is everything for Ryan, for Joey. I am Jeff, and we will see y'all